Chosen one, the energy around you just shifted hard. It's that moment when they couldn't care less anymore and are dead set on telling you the truth, no matter who gets calmer, and you can feel it cracking through the atmosphere. Your instincts were never wrong. Your confusion came from being fed half-truths and contradictions. Behind closed doors there were real meetings, real strategies, real sabotage. And now the very person who once joined that conspiracy is ready to expose it all, not out of guilt but out of vengeance. It began with you simply existing in your power. You have something most people spend entire lifetimes searching for and never locate. An authentic presence that doesn't require performance. A magnetic quality that draws attention without demanding it. An energy that makes people feel something the moment you step into a space. Not because you're trying to dominate, not because you're seeking validation, but because you carry a frequency that most humans have buried under layers of conditioning and fear. Some people encounter your energy and feel inspired to step into their own power. Others encounter it and feel threatened to their core. Your ex was definitively in the second category. When they met you, they felt that pull everyone feels around you, that gravitation toward your light. But where others responded with appreciation or motivation, your ex responded with inadequacy. Your confidence didn't inspire them to build their own. It reminded them they hadn't built any. Your clarity didn't motivate them to find their own. It highlighted that they were lost. Your growth didn't encourage them to pursue their own. It exposed that they were stagnant. This created a fundamental problem in your connection. Your ex couldn't celebrate your wins because your wins felt like their losses. Couldn't honor your growth because your growth emphasized their lack of it. Couldn't support your dreams because your dreams reminded them they'd abandoned their own. And instead of doing the hard internal work to address those feelings, instead of using that discomfort as fuel for their own transformation, your ex did what weak people do when confronted with strength. They looked for ways to diminish what they couldn't match, to destroy what they couldn't create, to tear down what they lacked the courage to build. Your ex didn't operate alone in their jealousy. They found others who felt the same way. And this is crucial for you to understand about how you ended up targeted by a group rather than just one person. Your energy doesn't just affect individuals, it affects the environment. Their masks feel more obvious. Their pretense feels more transparent. Their inauthenticity feels more uncomfortable. And people who've built entire identities on false versions of themselves, they can't stand being in the presence of someone who's genuinely real. So your ex found other people who felt similarly threatened by authentic power. Other people who'd rather plot against someone shining than do the work to shine themselves. Other people who mistake tearing others down for building themselves up. And they form something toxic together. A group bonded not by genuine love or shared values or real friendship, but by shared insecurity, mutual jealousy, common targets. They created a false sense of family, where the main bonding activity was discussing you, planning against you, celebrating your setbacks, creating obstacles to your progress. This group had regular contact, frequent communication, ongoing discussions about you and your life. Your name came up constantly in their exchanges, not because you were doing anything to them, but because your very existence, your very way of being, challenged everything they'd convinced themselves was true about power and success and authenticity. You were living proof that you don't need to manipulate to win, that you don't need to tear others down to rise, that you don't need to pretend to be powerful when you actually are powerful. And that reality was intolerable to people who'd built their entire approach to life on the opposite principles. While you were focused on your own path, minding your own business, building your own dreams, another reality was unfolding in parallel, a reality you weren't privy to. Conversations happening without your knowledge, decisions being made about your life without your input, plans being executed that directly affected your opportunities, your resources, your relationships, and your peace. This wasn't random interference. This wasn't coincidental bad luck. This was coordinated sabotage, with your ex serving as the inside source who made it all possible. Think back to all those moments when things mysteriously went wrong, when opportunities you were certain about suddenly evaporated, when doors you were walking through suddenly slammed shut, when people who seemed interested suddenly went cold, when projects with momentum suddenly lost steam, when resources you were counting on suddenly became unavailable. You couldn't trace the interference back to its source. You couldn't identify the pattern because you didn't know there was an organized effort behind it. But you felt something was off. You sensed invisible resistance. You perceived that something or someone was working against you from the shadows. Your instincts were absolutely correct. There was active interference happening, deliberate blocks being placed in your path, strategic obstacles being erected at crucial moments. And it wasn't just one person acting impulsively. It was a coordinated group executing a plan. Your ex provided them with information about what mattered to you, what you were working on, what you cared about, what you were building toward, and they used that intelligence to target those exact areas. If you were developing a creative project, they found ways to undermine your confidence or spread doubt about your abilities. If you were building professional connections, they planted seeds of suspicion or shared distorted versions of your character. If you were pursuing financial opportunities, they interfered with the channels that could have led to your breakthrough. The methods were sophisticated enough that you couldn't easily prove what was happening, subtle enough that you questioned whether you were imagining patterns, strategic enough that each incident could be explained away as unfortunate coincidence. But when you step back and see the full picture, when you connect all the incidents across time, the pattern becomes undeniable. This was warfare, psychological warfare designed to keep you confused, frustrated, and doubting your own perception of reality. If this message awakened something within you, hype this video for other chosen ones who need to hear this. Your ex shared things with this group that you'd told them in confidence, private details about your life, vulnerable moments you'd opened up about, fears you'd expressed, dreams you'd shared, struggles you were working through. All of it got repeated to people who had no business knowing your story. Your intimacy got violated. Your trust got weaponized. Your vulnerability got turned into entertainment for a group of people who derived satisfaction from knowing things about you that you didn't know they knew. But watch what happens when people build connections on such rotten foundations. When the glue holding people together is shared cruelty rather than shared values. When the basis of bonding is mutual destruction rather than mutual growth. These arrangements always collapse, always, because the same energy people use against external targets eventually gets turned inward. The manipulation becomes internal, the betrayal becomes reciprocal, the destruction becomes self-directed, and there's always someone in these groups who takes it further than anyone else, someone who doesn't just participate in the darkness but orchestrates it. Someone who pulls strings not just on targets outside the group, but on members within it. In this group that formed around their shared feelings about you, there was one person operating at a different level, someone with a more distorted relationship with power, someone who derived satisfaction not from building anything real, but from controlling people, from pulling strings behind curtains, from manipulating outcomes while keeping their hands apparently clean. This person identified your ex's vulnerabilities with precision, knew exactly which insecurities to activate, which fears to amplify, which jealousies to feed, and they used that knowledge to transform your ex into a weapon aimed directly at your life. This puppet master understood human psychology in a twisted way, knew how to make people feel special while using them, knew how to create false intimacy while maintaining emotional distance, knew how to inspire loyalty while planning betrayal. The most dangerous kind of manipulator, because they're skilled at what they do. They studied your ex and identified the exact wounds that could be exploited. The fear of not being enough, the jealousy of your success, the insecurity about their own worth, and they pressed on those wounds consistently, methodically, until your ex was completely convinced that you were somehow the problem, that your light was somehow a threat, that your success was somehow their failure. But the puppet master wasn't just manipulating your ex. They were orchestrating the entire group dynamic, creating a culture where cruelty felt like camaraderie, where tearing you down felt like building themselves up, where celebrating your pain felt like achieving victory. They constructed a shared reality where hurting you was not only acceptable but righteous, where your struggles were proof of their power, where your confusion was evidence of their cleverness, and everyone in that group bought into this twisted worldview, reinforced it in each other, created an echo chamber where wrong became right, and destruction became construction. This architect of destruction has left damage in their wake before you. Your situation isn't their first manipulation. Your ex isn't their first victim. There's a pattern if you look back far enough. A trail of broken relationships and damaged lives. They move through social circles like a virus, identifying strong people and making it their mission to break them. Not because those strong people did anything to deserve it, but because strong people reflect back everything the manipulator isn't. Everything they're too empty to become. So they tear down what they can't build, destroy what they can't create, diminish what they can't match, and they convince others to participate in the destruction, so they're not doing it alone. For a while this puppet master seemed untouchable. Their manipulation was too clever to detect. Their control was too complete to challenge. Their position in the group was too secure to threaten. Your ex believed they were part of something solid, that this person had their back, that the group was real family. But that was the illusion that eventually shattered, because manipulators don't have genuine loyalty, they have utility. And when someone stops being useful, when they become more liability than asset, when keeping them around becomes inconvenient, everything changes. The warmth turns arctic, the welcome turns to rejection, the inclusion turns to exile. This is exactly what happened to your ex. There came a moment when the puppet master decided they were done with them. Maybe your ex knew too much. Maybe they were becoming unpredictable. Maybe they simply weren't needed anymore. Whatever the reason, the decision was made to remove them from the equation, and it wasn't done gently. It was done with the same ruthless efficiency that had been used against you. Your ex got set up, got blamed for things that weren't entirely their fault, got pushed out of the group they'd violated their own integrity to belong to, and suddenly found themselves on the outside looking in at people who acted like they'd never mattered at all. There was a specific moment when everything shattered for your ex, when the scales fell from their eyes and they saw clearly for the first time. Maybe they discovered they'd been set up to take blame for group actions. Maybe they overheard conversations revealing how disposable they'd always been. Maybe they found evidence that the puppet master had been mocking them behind their back the entire time. Whatever the trigger, it cracked something fundamental. The illusion broke, the manipulation became visible, and your ex had to confront the ugliest truth about themselves and their choices. They saw that the group was never family. It was a cult with the puppet master as the leader demanding absolute loyalty while giving none. They saw that the friendship was never real. It was transactional, based entirely on what you could provide and how well you obeyed. They saw that the conspiracy against you was never justified. It was cruelty disguised as strategy, jealousy pretending to be justice, weakness masquerading as strength, and they saw their own participation in all of it. Their own choices to betray, their own decisions to harm, not necessarily with remorse, but with clarity about being used. This realization ignited something volatile. Your ex started keeping records, started documenting everything, started gathering evidence against the very people they'd helped gather evidence against you. They became meticulous in ways they'd never been before, patient in ways that revealed how deep the anger ran, strategic in ways that showed this wasn't impulsive reaction, but calculated revenge. They understood they'd get one opportunity to expose everything, one chance to bring down the entire operation. So they collected proof like someone building an airtight case, screenshots of conversations, recordings of admissions, financial records showing theft, witness testimonies from others who'd been burned, everything needed to prove the conspiracy was real. But your ex also realized something else during this process. They couldn't execute this revenge alone. They needed you, not just to receive the information but to act on it, because you have something they've lost: credibility, standing, the moral position of being the victim rather than the perpetrator. Your ex knows that if they come forward alone, they look like a disgruntled former member with an axe to grind. But if they come to you with evidence, if you take that evidence public or legal, suddenly it carries different weight. Suddenly it's a victim exposing their abusers rather than an accomplice settling scores. Suddenly it has power. So your ex has been planning their approach, rehearsing the words, anticipating your questions, preparing for your justified anger. They know this won't be comfortable. Know you have every right to refuse contact. Know they burned a bridge. They have no right to expect you to rebuild. But they're counting on something. They're betting that your desire for truth outweighs your distaste for them. That your need for answers overcomes your need for distance. That your curiosity about what really happened will compel you to listen despite every instinct screaming to walk away. And there's something else your ex isn't being entirely honest about yet. They need more than just your attention. They need your assistance, possibly financial, probably legal, definitely emotional, because exposing this conspiracy means facing consequences themselves, legal ones potentially, social ones certainly, financial ones absolutely, and they're hoping that by delivering the truth you've been seeking, you'll feel obligated to help them navigate what comes next. It's not purely altruistic. It's not only about justice, it's also about their survival, and they're banking on you caring enough about finally knowing what happened to overlook the transactional nature of their confession. Now let's be absolutely clear about why your ex is doing this. You need to walk into this situation with unclouded vision. Your ex isn't coming forward because they suddenly found their conscience in a spiritual awakening. They're not confessing because guilt finally overwhelmed them. They're not reaching out because they've evolved into a better person who genuinely wants to make amends for harm caused. They're coming forward because they experienced the same betrayal they helped inflict on you, and they want revenge on those who betrayed them. Everything else is secondary to that primary motivation. Your ex wants to watch the puppet master suffer consequences, wants to see the entire group face repercussions, wants everyone who excluded them to experience loss, and you're the mechanism through which that suffering can be delivered most effectively, by giving you evidence and testimony, by exposing the conspiracy in detail, by bringing everything into light. They trigger a cascade of consequences. You'll probably take action, maybe legal action, possibly social exposure, definitely some form of response, and that response creates accountability for everyone involved, including your ex themselves. But they've made the calculation that seeing their enemies fall is worth falling themselves, that mutual destruction is preferable to their enemies walking away unscathed. There's another layer driving this too. Your ex is struggling, financially probably, emotionally definitely, spiritually certainly. The puppet master didn't just emotionally discard them. They systematically destroyed their stability, cut them off from resources, isolated them from support systems, left them scrambling to survive, and your ex is hoping that by delivering this truth to you, you'll feel grateful enough or obligated enough to provide assistance, maybe help with legal fees, maybe offer temporary shelter, maybe provide financial support to get back on their feet. They think giving you truth entitles them to your help. Watch how they'll frame this when contact happens. They'll emphasize justice, truth, doing the right thing, clearing their conscience, making amends, but listen for the ask underneath the confession, because it's coming. After they deliver the information, after you process the initial shock, after the revelations settle, they'll mention how difficult things are for them currently, how they're struggling, how they could really use support, and they'll connect it back to the truth they gave you, making it transactional, making confession into currency, making exposure into payment for rescue. Your ex will try to create a sense of partnership, a feeling of being on the same team now. They'll talk about both of you being victims of the same people, how you should work together, how combined you can take everyone down. They'll minimize their own participation in your betrayal, frame themselves as someone who got manipulated rather than someone who made choices, position themselves as a whistleblower rather than a co-conspirator. And if you're not paying attention, if you're caught up in the validation of finally getting answers, you might accept this framing. But remember this clearly, your ex held this information while you were suffering, watched you struggle with confusion and said nothing, let you question your sanity while possessing the answers, not because they couldn't tell you, but because telling you would have meant exposing themselves, risking your rejection, losing access to you, so they stayed silent, let you hurt, protected themselves and their accomplices, and only now, when silence no longer serves them, when revelation serves revenge, when confession becomes advantageous, only now are they ready to talk. That timing tells you everything about their true motivation. Now let me put you onto something real. Destiny Engine. I built this because I was done watching chosen ones get dragged through betrayal, isolation and attacks, while their enemies strutted around unchecked. I want to help you accelerate the speed of your divine justice and step fully into your purpose. And the beauty of it, you don't even have to lift a finger. Destiny Engine takes their downfall and flips it into your rise. This isn't another meditation app. It's declassified consciousness technology, the same mind programming tools your enemies once used to install fear, competition and scarcity, re-engineered to restore your sovereignty and align you with the cooperative, upgraded operating framework. It generates personalized sequences mapped to your divine purpose. The hardest thing you'll do is put on headphones, press play and watch your enemies keep digging their own grave. The collective upgrade is underway. Start your Destiny Engine for $1 today and turn everything they did to break you into fuel for your rise. Link in the description. Let's shift focus back to where it belongs, on you. Because here's what your ex hasn't fully grasped yet. Here's what the puppet master never understood. Here's what that entire group missed while they were plotting. You don't need this information to be whole. You're already whole. You don't need this validation to move forward. You've already been moving forward. You don't need their confession to be free. You've already freed yourself. They think they're offering you something you desperately need. But you're not desperate. You're complete. Look at where you are right now in your life. Look at what you've built since that connection ended. Look at who you've become. Look at the growth you've achieved. You did all of that without knowing the full details, without having complete answers, without proof of what you suspected. You survived and thrived based purely on your own strength, your own resilience, your own refusal to let confusion define you. You chose evolution over bitterness, growth over revenge, building your future over obsessing about your past. And that choice elevated you beyond their reach, because while they were scheming and plotting and celebrating your struggles, what were you doing? Becoming someone they can no longer touch. You elevated beyond their frequency. You grew past their comprehension. You evolved beyond their capacity to harm you. The distance between who you are now and who they are has become unmeasurable. You're operating in dimensions they don't have access to, creating things they can't understand, connecting with people who wouldn't give them the time of day. You're in a completely different league now, a different universe entirely. And that's why when your ex shows up with their confession, you receive it from absolute power. Not from victimhood, not from desperation, not from need. You're not someone begging for answers. You're someone who already overcame without them. You're not desperate for their truth. You're simply open to receiving it if it serves your highest good. You're not looking to them for closure. You already created closure through your own healing work. They need this meeting more than you do. They need your help more than you need their information. So when contact happens, and it will happen, you set the terms. You decide whether to even respond. You choose if and when to meet. You determine what you do with any information provided. You're in the driver's seat. You're calling the shots. You hold all the power in this dynamic. Not because you're seeking revenge, not because you're trying to dominate them, but because you did the work. You healed, you grew, you transformed, and transformation is power that can't be matched by people who refuse to do their own internal work. Your energy, that presence that intimidated them so profoundly, is even more potent now, even more undeniable, even more magnetic, because you've been refined by fire, tested by betrayal, proven by survival, strengthened by struggle. You're not the same person they conspired against. You're the upgraded version, the evolution they didn't predict, the plot twist they didn't see coming. And when they're in your presence now, when they see you face to face, they're going to feel that power radiating from you, and it's going to remind them of everything they tried to destroy and failed to even dent. When your ex reaches out, when they request to meet, when they promise to reveal everything, you face several decisions, and these decisions matter not because they determine your worth, but because they reveal who you've become through this journey. They show how much you've grown, how clear you've become, how strong you are now. First question, do you even engage? Do you give them the opportunity to confess? Or do you decide you've moved so far beyond that chapter that revisiting it serves no beneficial purpose? There's no objectively right answer here, only what feels aligned with your truth. Some of you need that closure, that final piece completing the puzzle, that validation confirming your instincts, and for you, hearing what they have to say, receiving the information they're offering, that's going to be important for your continued healing. It ties up loose ends, answers lingering questions, puts periods where question marks have been hanging for too long. But some of you have already done that internal work, already made peace with not knowing every detail, already released the need for external validation of your intuition, already accepted that some questions might remain unanswered, and decided that's acceptable. And for you, reopening this chapter might actually be regression rather than progression. It might disturb the peace you worked hard to achieve. It might resurrect pain you've already processed and released. And if that's where you are, it's completely valid to decline engagement, to leave the past undisturbed, to decide that whatever they have to say isn't necessary for your forward movement. If you do choose to hear them out, establish boundaries that protect your energy and peace. Meet in a neutral public location, set a firm time limit, bring someone you trust, if that feels appropriate. Don't allow them into your personal space. Don't give them access to your private world. Don't let them back into your life under the pretense of confession. You can receive information without rekindling connection. You can hear their truth without accepting them back into your inner circle. You can acknowledge their pain without taking responsibility for healing it. You can be powerful and still have immovable boundaries. When you receive this information, whether through direct conversation or some other means, something fundamental shifts inside you. All those times you second-guessed your perception get validated. All those moments you felt crazy for suspecting patterns get confirmed. All those instincts that whispered warnings get proven accurate. You realize that your intuition was operating at a level higher than you gave it credit for. Your perception was clearer than you believed. Your gut was correct all along. And that restoration of trust in your own inner knowing is perhaps the greatest gift hidden in this painful revelation. You've been carrying unnecessary doubt about yourself, questioning whether you were too sensitive, too suspicious, too guarded, too quick to judge, and all that self-doubt was planted deliberately by their gaslighting, by their manipulation, by their insistence that you were imagining things, that you were paranoid, that you were the problem. But you weren't any of those things. You were perceiving reality accurately while they were actively working to make you doubt your perception. And that game ends now. With proof, with confirmation, with evidence that you were right to trust yourself. You're going to feel anger. That's natural, that's healthy, that's appropriate. Anger about what was done. Anger about how long truth was withheld. Anger about how your pain was their entertainment. Let yourself feel it fully. Don't suppress it spiritually. Don't bypass it emotionally. Don't rush to forgiveness before you've processed the fury. Anger is part of healing. It's your psyche rejecting what happened, refusing to normalize betrayal, declaring that what occurred was not acceptable. Honor that anger. Let it move through your system. Let it burn away any remaining illusions. But don't make anger your permanent residence. Don't build your identity around it. Don't let it become the lens through which you see everything. Feel it. Express it in healthy ways. Let it fuel you temporarily if needed. And then release it consciously. Because anger only maintains power when you give it permission to stay. And you're too expansive to give it permanent space. Too focused on your future to spend your present trapped in past violations. Too aligned with your destiny to let their dysfunction derail your direction. So feel what you feel, and then let it go. Not for them, for you. What's coming for you is massive. Opportunities that match your growth. connections that match your frequency, success that match your effort, resources that match your vision. Everything you've been working toward is about to manifest in rapid succession, not because you finally got the truth about what happened, but because you're finally clear enough, healed enough, whole enough, strong enough to receive what's been waiting for you. The universe had to wait for you to be ready, and you're ready now, right now, this moment. Doors that were closed when interference was active are opening. Opportunities that vanished when sabotage was happening are returning multiplied. Relationships that soured when lies were spread are being replaced by authentic connections. Resources that were stolen are coming back to you with compound interest. Because that's how universal law works. What's meant for you will always find you. What people steal from you becomes a debt the universe collects on your behalf. You don't have to chase it, don't have to fight for it, don't have to force it. You just keep being who you are, and let natural justice handle the rest. When your breakthrough manifests, and it's manifesting now, everyone who worked against you will see it. Your ex will witness you thriving while they're struggling. The puppet master will watch you succeeding while their control crumbles. The whole group will observe you ascending while they're experiencing natural consequences. And that's not you being vindictive or petty, that's just reality. That's what happens when you choose growth over gossip, when you choose building over betraying, when you choose evolution over revenge. The universe rewards authentic effort and addresses counterfeit schemes every single time, without exception. This confession, this exposure, this truth arriving at your door, it's not the climax of your story. It's the cleanup, the tying up of loose ends, the final confirmation of what you already knew, the period at the end of a sentence you finished writing long ago, because the real narrative here was never about them. It was always about you, about how you survived what was designed to destroy you, about how you thrived despite systematic sabotage, about how you became more through adversity instead of less. Your energy, that presence we discussed at the beginning, that intimidating, undeniable power, it's even stronger now, potent beyond anything they remember. You didn't just survive their conspiracy, you evolved because of it. You didn't just overcome their sabotage, you used it as fuel. You didn't just heal from their betrayal, you transformed through it. You're not who you were when this started. You're better, stronger, wiser, more discerning, more powerful, more authentically yourself than you've ever been. You're living proof that their entire worldview was fundamentally wrong. They believed destroying others would elevate themselves. You proved that building yourself elevates you. They believed stealing from others would enrich themselves. You proved that creating your own enriches you. They believed manipulating others would empower themselves. You proved that integrity empowers you. You're walking evidence that their whole approach to life was bankrupt, and they can't unsee it, can't deny it, can't explain it away. When your ex looks at you now, they see everything they could have been if different choices had been made. When the puppet master hears about your success, they confront the reality that manipulation has diminishing returns. When that whole group watches you thrive, they face the truth that darkness cannot sustain itself while light perpetually renews. You're not just surviving, you're thriving. You're not just getting by, you're excelling. You're not just healing, you're showing others the path to healing. And that trajectory, that transformation, that's the real victory here. Receive this confession if you choose. Take the information if it serves you, use it for closure if you need it, or decline it all if you've transcended needing it. Whatever you decide, know this with absolute certainty. You're not receiving anything from weakness, from desperation, from need. You're receiving from power, from wholeness, from choice. Your ex is coming to you. You're not chasing them. They need you. You don't need them. They're offering information you already suspected. You're offering them nothing they've earned or deserve. And when this all settles, when truth is told and consequences are distributed and dust clears, you're going to keep rising, keep building, keep growing, keep shining, because that's who you are. That's what chosen ones do. You don't just survive fires, you come out refined. You don't just weather storms, you learn to dance in the rain. You don't just overcome betrayals, you transform them into testimonies. You don't just heal from wounds, you turn scars into strength. You don't just recover from setbacks, you use them as setups for comebacks. The truth is coming. Your ex has made their decision. The puppet master's time is running out. That whole group is about to face natural justice. And you're about to step into everything you were created for, everything you survived for, everything you're destined for. Right on time, right on purpose, right on point. The reckoning they feared is here, but it's not what they expected. It's not you seeking revenge. It's you embodying success. It's not you destroying them. It's you building yourself. It's not you consumed by their past betrayal. It's you transcending it completely and stepping into your future. And that chosen one is the ultimate victory, the truest power, the deepest justice. You didn't just survive what they orchestrated. You evolved beyond who they are. You didn't just overcome their conspiracy. You rendered it irrelevant to your trajectory. You didn't just heal from their betrayal. You transformed because of it into someone unstoppable. The circle is complete. The lesson is learned. The transformation is real. And you're just getting started on the next chapter. The best chapter. The chapter where everything you've been through finally makes sense because you see what it was preparing you for. This level, this frequency, this power, this destiny. This is your time.